A new wave of development is sweeping across Africa, and at the helm of this transformation is an unexpected giant, China. With a rapidly growing global influence, China has plunged into Africa, leaving an indelible footprint on the continent's development. This involvement ranges from infrastructure to energy, transportation, and beyond, shaping Africa's economic and political landscape in unprecedented ways. But what does this mean for Africa? That's the billion-dollar question. This engagement is a double-edged sword, fostering development and growth on one hand, while on the other, raising concerns about debt, transparency, and sovereignty. Yet, it's a relationship that's evolving, creating a dynamic narrative that's as complex as it is compelling. From the Sahara's sands to the rich plains of the Serengeti, China's presence is palpable, and its impact, undeniable. Indeed, China's role in Africa is a tale of growth, development, and a complex web of relationships. To understand this dynamic, we need to journey back in time, to the early ties between China and Africa. The relationship between these two regions is not a recent phenomenon. It dates back to the 15th century, during the Ming Dynasty, when Chinese Admiral Zheng He made his famous voyages to the African coast. Fast forward a few centuries and we see the bond strengthening, particularly in the mid-20th century. China supported African nations in their fight for independence, providing aid and technical assistance. As we moved into the new millennium, the relationship shifted gears from political and ideological support to economic cooperation. Today, their connection is defined largely by trade, investment, and infrastructure development. It's a partnership that's evolved over centuries, shaped by global politics, economic trends, and mutual interests. From trade partners to development allies, China and Africa's relationship has certainly come a long way. Fast forward to the present day, and you'll see Chinese construction projects dotting the African landscape. Chinese firms are responsible for a significant share of the infrastructure, energy, and transportation projects across the continent. We're talking about roads that stretch for miles, linking previously isolated communities. We're talking about power plants, lighting up homes and businesses that once relied on flickering candles and hazardous kerosene lamps. We're talking about airports and seaports, transforming the way goods and people move across borders. These structures are more than just concrete, steel, and glass. They are the arteries that pump life into economies, the veins that carry the lifeblood of trade and commerce. They are the sinews that hold societies together, and the bones that give them structure. But it's not just about the physical infrastructure. It's about the knowledge transfer, the local jobs created, the skills developed. These projects are not just bricks and mortar, they are shaping Africa's future. But how does China finance these mega projects? The answer lies in loans. China's development strategy in Africa is largely characterized by its use of loans to fund construction projects. These aren't just any loans, but they are often sizable, long-term financial commitments with terms and conditions that are uniquely Chinese. China, through its state-owned banks, provides these loans at concessional or semi-concessional rates. This means they are often more affordable than what traditional Western lenders offer. The loans are typically tied to infrastructure projects, meaning they are given on the condition that the money is used for specific construction initiatives. These undertakings are often carried out by Chinese companies, creating a cycle where China funds the project, Chinese companies execute it, and the African nation pays back the loan. It's a win-win on the surface, but it's not without its complexities. While these loans fuel development, they also raise questions about debt and economic sovereignty. The scale of China's involvement in Africa is staggering. When we delve into the numbers, the sheer magnitude of projects initiated by China across the African continent is mind-blowing. Over the past 2 decades, China has embarked on nearly 3,000 projects spread across all 54 African countries, highlighting not only the scale, but also the diversity of these ventures. From infrastructure to energy, from transportation to telecommunications, China's influence is felt in every sector. In the realm of infrastructure alone, China has contributed to constructing over 6,000 kilometers of railways, numerous roads stretching over 50,000 kilometers, and a multitude of ports dotting Africa's vast coastline. In the energy sector, China has been instrumental in setting up power plants that generate over 20,000 megawatts of electricity, illuminating countless homes and powering numerous industries. The telecommunications sector has also seen a boom, with China aiding in installing over 20 million new phone lines across Africa. From roads to railways, power plants to ports, China's footprint in Africa is undeniable. Yet, China's involvement in Africa isn't without its challenges and concerns. The scale and nature of this engagement have raised issues of transparency. Many argue that the terms of these loans and the process of awarding construction contracts lack the openness customary in international dealings. Another concern is the environmental impact. Massive infrastructure projects often come with a heavy ecological price tag. Deforestation, pollution, and habitat destruction are some of the potential negative consequences. Moreover, questions of sovereignty loom large. Some critics argue that the debt burden could compromise the autonomy of African countries, pushing them into a neo-colonial relationship with China. These concerns underscore the complexity of China's involvement in Africa. It's not just about building roads or powering up cities, it's about the long-term consequences of these actions, the sustainability of these initiatives, and the rights and autonomy of the nations involved. It's a delicate balance between development and dependency, progress and debt. Despite these concerns, China's involvement in Africa also presents opportunities and benefits. Let's talk about the silver lining. With the construction boom, China has paved the way for improved infrastructure, better transportation systems, and increased energy capacity across Africa. These developments are crucial for the growth and development of African economies. Furthermore, China's involvement has also brought about job creation, boosting employment rates and providing livelihoods for thousands of Africans. Additionally, the engagement has fostered cultural exchange and understanding, deepening the ties between China and Africa. It's also worth noting that China's loans, despite their potential pitfalls, have provided much-needed financing for development projects that might not have found support elsewhere. And while the terms of these loans can be daunting, they have undeniably catalyzed Africa's infrastructural transformation. In the grand scheme of things, China's influence in Africa is a complex narrative of development, debt, opportunities, and challenges.